August 4th, 1944. 23:50 hours. No. 12 prisoner of war compound. Cowra. Australia. The night is cold. A sharp, inland frost settles on the dirt, and the only sound is the crunch of gravel under the boot of Private Bert Suddens. Suddens is 58 years old. He is a veteran of Gallipoli, a man who has already seen the worst of war and has been put out to pasture by the Australian military forces. His post, here in the rolling hills of New South Wales, is not a front line, it is a babysitting job. He is a member of the 22nd Garrison Battalion, a unit composed mostly of old soldiers and young men deemed medically unfit for service overseas. They are, as they call themselves, the odds and sods. His beat takes him along the perimeter fence. The camp is vast, holding thousands of prisoners. As he passes D compound, he can smell wood smoke and, faintly garlic. He hears a low snatch of song. The Italians are easy. They play cards. They work on the local farms. They sing opera. To them, the war is over. They are alive, and they are grateful for it. Then, Suddens approaches B compound. The air grows colder. The silence is absolute. Behind that 9-foot-high triple-coiled barbed wire fence are 104 Japanese prisoners of war. To Private Suddens and the other guards, these men are a complete, terrifying enigma. They do not sing. They do not fraternize. They stare through the guards as if they are ghosts. They are fastidiously clean, disciplined, and utterly silent. The Australians cannot comprehend their mindset. To an Australian, being a prisoner is bad luck, but you make the best of it. You survive. To the Imperial Japanese soldier, steeped in the code of Bushido, to be captured is to cease to exist. It is a shame so profound that it erases your family, your name, your very soul. They are not prisoners. They are the living dead. Their names have been struck from official records back home. Their families have been told they are dead. A fiction they prefer. And now, this quiet, simmering pot is about to boil over. The camp commandant, Major Edward Donald, has an administrative problem. B compound is dangerously overcrowded. His solution is simple: split the prisoners. On August 5th, all Japanese NCOs and officers will be separated from the enlisted men and moved to another camp at Hay. The order is posted. The Japanese prisoners are informed. To Major Donald, this is a logistical move. To the Japanese, it is the final, unbearable dishonor. Inside B compound, the secret leadership convenes. They are men like Sergeant Major Minami and Warrant Officer Hajime Toyoshima. Toyoshima was the first Japanese prisoner taken by Australia, a famed Zero pilot who crash-landed his fighter. He has lived with the shame the longest. This transfer, they decide, will not be borne. To be herded like cattle from one pen to another is to perpetuate their disgrace. A vote is taken. The Bushido Code offers only one path to redemption. If you cannot live with honor, you must die with honor. They will not be transferred. They will not escape. They will die. In the final hours of August 4th, a plan is formalized. It is a plan of mass ritual suicide, disguised as a breakout. It is a tot-su-ge-ki, a death charge. The prisoners begin to prepare. They sharpen mess tin knives. They fashion garrotes from wire. They rip legs from benches to make clubs, studding them with nails. They tie their long shirts and headbands, as if preparing for a final Banzai charge on a battlefield. Outside, Private Suddens finishes his rounds. He looks at the silent, dark huts of B compound. He sees nothing. He hears nothing. He reports to the main gate. All quiet, sir, but inside the wire, 104 men are wide awake. They are waiting for a signal. They are waiting to reclaim their honor. in the only way they know how. August 5th, 1944. 1:50 hours. B compound. Cowra. The frost has hardened. The air is so cold it stings the lungs. Inside his hut, Hajime Toyoshima finishes his preparations. He has tied his hachimaki, a white headband, around his forehead. He holds not a rifle, but a sharpened piece of wood. It is enough. The plan is precise. The camp is divided. Toyoshima will lead a Banzai charge straight for the main gate and the Vickers machine gun positions. A second group will burst from the western side. A third will go east. A fourth, the suicide squad, will attack the guard quarters, aiming to kill the sleeping Australians in their beds. The objective is not freedom. The objective is to create chaos and die in glorious combat, taking as many of the enemy, their guards, with them as possible. Outside, in the dark, Private Ralph Jones is cold. He's 18 years old. He's in the tower of No. 2 Vickers gun post, scanning the wire. He and his mate, Private Ben Hardy, are on duty. Their main concern is staying awake. They've been told the Japs are quiet. A bit strange, but no real trouble. Suddenly, Ralph Jones leans forward. "Ben, you hear that?" Ben Hardy listens. "Nothing." "Hear what, mate? The wind?" "No, listen." A faint, strange, metallic sound. Skra RP. It is the sound of 1,000 men moving, of tin cups and sharpened mess tin knives being drawn. Then, from the center of B compound, a single, piercing sound cuts the night. It is a bugle. It is not an Australian bugle call. It is a Japanese call. The tot-su-ge-ki, the charge. What happens next is, for the Australian guards, a moment of pure, undiluted surreality. It starts not with a sound, but with a roar, a deep, guttural, unified scream from 104 throats. Banzai, Private Suddens, the Gallipoli veteran, is near the camp kitchen, having a cup of tea. The sound makes his blood run cold. He has not heard a cry like that in 30 years. He drops his cup and runs for his rifle. In the Vickers tower, Ralph Jones and Ben Hardy stare. Frozen, the compound, which was dark and silent seconds ago, has exploded. 3 massive human waves are surging from the huts. They are not running. They are sprinting, a tide of bodies moving at full speed, screaming. "My God," Hardy whispers. "Fire!" Jones yells, his voice cracking. "Fire the bloody light!" He slams his hand onto the searchlight switch. A brilliant white beam cuts the darkness, and what it reveals is a scene from hell. The Japanese are not trying to cut the wire. They are not using stealth. They are throwing their bodies onto it. The first wave hits the triple-coiled barbed wire at a dead run. They are climbing. The men behind them are climbing over them. They are creating a human ladder. Those caught on the barbs are trampled by the men behind. They are not screaming in pain. They are screaming, "Banzai!" The prisoners are wearing their full winter kits, heavy coats and gloves, to protect them from the wire. Many have thrown their thick grass sleeping mattresses over the coils to create a bridge. "Fire! Jones! Fire!" Hardy screams, fumbling with the feed belt of the 303 Vickers. Ralph Jones grips the spade handles of the machine gun. His targets are not soldiers. They are men in pajamas and overcoats, waving baseball bats, knives, and bits of wood. He hesitates. For one fatal second, he cannot believe what he is seeing. The suicide squad is at the wire below him. They are shouting, waving for him to shoot them. "Shoot! Shoot!" they scream in broken English. Then, the hesitation passes. He is a soldier. This is an attack. He squeezes the butterfly trigger. The Vickers gun, a weapon of industrial scale killing, opens up. The 303 rounds rip into the mass of human bodies. Men at the front are cut in half. They fall, but the wave does not stop. It is a charge of the dead. They simply do not care. For every man Jones cuts down, 3 more take his place, climbing over the bodies of their comrades. On the other side of the compound, the second Vickers gun opens up. The night is laced with tracers. The thump, thump, thump of the heavy machine guns and the incessant, high-pitched screaming of the charging Japanese. The suicide squad, tasked with killing the guards, has breached the wire. They ignore the machine gun tower. They are sprinting, barefoot on the frozen gravel, toward the barracks of the 22nd Garrison. Inside those barracks, Lieutenant Harry Doncaster is asleep. He is ripped from his dreams by the sound of glass shattering and a scream that is not Australian. The main wave, led by Toyoshima, has reached the main gate. They are tearing it from its hinges with their bare hands. And the wire has failed. The sheer weight of bodies, living, dying, and dead, has pulled the 9-foot-high posts from the earth. The entire section of fence has collapsed, creating a massive 4-lane highway out of B compound. The first 300 prisoners are through. They are loose. Ralph Jones, his gun barrel glowing cherry red, is still firing. He is sweeping the gun left and right, cutting down wave after wave. But it's like trying to stop the tide. Then he hears a new sound. Thud. 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 The prisoners who couldn't get through the breach are running back to their huts. They are setting them on fire. The entire compound is being consumed by flames. The night is lit by burning buildings, and silhouetted against the fire are hundreds of Japanese prisoners, armed with makeshift spears and knives, running wild into the Australian countryside. August 5th, 1944. 55 hours, 22nd Garrison Battalion Barracks. The sound of shattering glass is followed by the splintering of a door. Lieutenant Harry Doncaster lands on the floor of his hut, rolling from his cot, his hand automatically grabbing for the .38 Webley revolver he keeps on the nightstand. The hut is dark, but the doorway is silhouetted by the raging fires from B compound. In that frame, he sees 2 figures. They are short, dressed in dark clothing, and they are screaming, a high, ululating wail that isn't human. One lunges at him with a garrote, a wire garrote. Doncaster fires the Webley from the floor. The crack of the pistol is deafening in the small room. The figure collapses. The second man, armed with a nail-studded baseball bat, is on him. Doncaster kicks, his boot connecting with the man's stomach. He scrambles to his feet. This is not war. This is a brawl in an abattoir. The entire camp is in chaos. The suicide squad is everywhere. They have stormed the guard barracks, the mess hall, the supply depot, Private Bert Sutton's. The 58-year-old Gallipoli veteran is no longer the old-timer. He is a soldier again. He has his Lee Enfield .303 rifle, and he works the bolt with a practiced, mechanical calm. He and 2 other guards have formed a defensive line behind a stack of supply crates. Aim low. Boys, Sutton says, his voice flat. Don't bother with the skyline. Shoot at the dark shapes. A dark shape rushes them, waving a mess tin knife. Crack. Suttons works the bolt. Click, clack. Next one. But the Australians are hopelessly outnumbered. The 22nd Garrison is a scratch unit. They are armed with rifles, a few pistols, and 2 Vickers guns. The Japanese have numbers, fanaticism, and the element of surprise. The most intense fighting is at the number 2 Vickers post. Private Ralph Jones and Private Ben Hardy are fighting for their lives. The gun is glowing, the barrel jacket steaming. They have fired hundreds of rounds. The ground below their tower is a carpet of bodies. But the Japanese will not stop. Hajime Toyoshima, the Zero pilot, is among the leaders of this charge. He knows the machine gun is the key. Take the gun, he screams in Japanese. Silence the gun. They are swarming the base of the tower. They are climbing the ladder. their hands bleeding on the rungs. "Ben!" Jones yells, his voice hoarse. "They're on the ladder!" Hardy draws his Webley pistol and fires down into the dark. A man screams and falls, but two more take his place. They are at the top. The first prisoner, his face a mask of rage, heaves himself over the sandbag. Jones swings the heavy Vickers, smashing the man in the face with the barrel. He falls back, taking another with him. "The gun! Ralph!" Hardy shouts. "The pin! Get the bloody pin!" They know the drill. If the post is overrun, the gun must not be captured and used against them. Ralph Jones, the 18-year-old, reaches under the firing mechanism. His fingers find the locking pin. With a grunt, he yanks it free, pulls it from the receiver, and hurls it into the darkness. The Vickers is now useless. It is just a 40-pound lump of steel. They have done their duty. Now there is nothing left. The wave crests the tower. Ben Hardy is pulled down, his pistol empty. He is stabbed a dozen times before he hits the floor. Ralph Jones is grabbed by three men. They do not stab him. They do not shoot him. They throw him from the 20-foot tower, his body landing on the frozen gravel below. He is still alive when they descend on him. This is the scene repeating itself across the camp. Private Charles Shepard is bludgeoned to death with a piece of wood. Two other guards are cornered and killed. But the Australians, for all their shock, are fighting back hard. The old veterans and the young boys are holding their ground. The attack on the barracks has failed. The suicide squad has achieved its goal. They are all dead or dying, having killed 4 Australian guards. Now, the greater chaos begins. The general alarm is finally sounded. A telephone operator in the exchange, hearing the gunfire, calls the local police. Cowra speaking. The Japs are out. They're all out. The town of Cowra, population 3,000, begins to wake up. Farmers, roused by the sound of gunfire echoing across the paddocks, grab their .303 kangaroo rifles and call their neighbors. The 300-plus Japanese who breached the wire are fanning out into the countryside. But they are not moving like escapees. They are not hiding. They are moving in large, screaming groups. They are actively hunting for armed men. They charge at the sound of a rifle shot, desperate to find an armed Australian who will grant them a warrior's death. One group finds a parked utility truck. They pile in, trying to start it. They are mowed down by another Vickers gun from a different compound. By 04:10, the main breakout is over. The camp is a ruin of burning huts and dead bodies. The immediate area is secure, but the hunt is just beginning. As the first pale gray light of dawn touches the sky, it reveals the sheer scale of the disaster. The wire is flattened. The compound is gone, and the rolling hills of New South Wales are dotted with dark figures, moving north, east, south, and west, all of them looking for a final, fatal confrontation. August 5th, 1944, 06:30 hours. The outskirts of Cowra. The sun rises on a scene of total bewilderment. The local policeman, Sergeant Mick O'Dear, has been on the phone for 2 hours. His small station is in an uproar. The initial reports were unbelievable. Now, as the light spreads, they are undeniable. Farmers are calling in. "Mick, it's Bill Johnson. There's a group of them, about 20, marching down the road past my property." "Are they armed, Bill?" O'Dea asks, rubbing his eyes. "Armed? They've got, well, sticks, Mick, and bits of wire. They're singing. This is the report all over the district. The Japanese are not hiding. They are not stealing cars to get to Sydney. They are not blending in. They are marching in disciplined groups down main roads. They are, in essence, conducting a Banzai charge against the entire Australian countryside. The military response is swift. The 22nd Garrison, having secured the camp, a charnel house of burning huts and bodies, is now joined by reinforcements. The 7th Australian Infantry Training Battalion, filled with young, fit soldiers bound for the Pacific, is diverted. Armored cars and Bren gun carriers, weapons of real war, are rolling down the quiet country lanes. Local members of the Volunteer Defence Corps, the Australian Home Guard, many of them veterans of the last war, like Private Suddens, grab their rifles and form search parties. The greatest weapon the Australians have is the telephone. The party line system, connecting all the farms, crackles with warnings. They're headed north toward the railway. Lock your doors. Don't go outside. But the Japanese are not interested in farmhouses. They are interested in soldiers. A group of 30 prisoners, led by a non-commissioned officer, spots an AIF patrol setting up a roadblock. The patrol has a Bren gun. The Japanese officer sees the gun. This is what they have been looking for. A proper military death. He gives an order. The 30 men, armed with sharpened fence posts and table legs, form a line. They fix their makeshift bayonets. The Australian officer commanding the patrol, a young lieutenant named Stan, stares in disbelief. Are they going to charge us? Hold your fire, Stan yells. I want them alive. The Japanese officer screams. Banzai! The 30 men sprint across the open paddock, running straight at the Bren gun. Fire! Stan screams, his voice breaking. Fire, for God's sake! Fire! The Bren gun opens up. It is not a fight. It is an execution. The line of charging men is annihilated in seconds. They fall, one on top of the other, just yards from the muzzle. They have died. And in their code, they have won. This scene is repeated over and over. For the next 9 days, the hunt is a grim, surreal, and heartbreaking affair. The Australians, raised on a different code of conduct, are completely baffled. They want to recapture these men. It is their duty. The Japanese want to be killed. It is their duty. This cultural collision is absolute. A different group of prisoners approaches a farmhouse. They are freezing, their flimsy clothing stiff with frost. The farmer's wife, terrified, meets them on the porch. The Japanese spokesman, who learned English in the camp, bows politely. Madam, he asks, we are cold. Do you have matches? The woman, trembling, hands him a box of matches. The group bows again. Thank you. They walk to a nearby haystack, sit in a circle, and set it on fire. They commit seppuku, ritual suicide, in the flames. Back in the camp, the cleanup is underway. The fires are out. The full horror is revealed. They find 31 prisoners who never even left B compound. They have hanged themselves from the rafters of the burning huts. They find another 15 in a ditch, all having cut their own throats. They find bodies in the latrines. The dead from the breakout are laid in rows. The guards, Privates Hardy, Jones, Shepherd, and Suddens, are found. Suddens, the Gallipoli veteran, is found slumped over his rifle, having fought to the last. The wounded, both Australian and Japanese, are flooding the camp hospital. An Australian medic, applying a tourniquet to a Japanese prisoner's leg, has to physically restrain the man. The prisoner is trying to rip the tourniquet off. He does not want to be saved. He screams at the medic, begging to be allowed to die, to be shot, for 9 days. The hunt continues. The last prisoner is found on August 14th, miles from the camp, starving and alone. The breakout is over. The final tally is staggering. 4 Australian guards are dead. One more, Private Jones, will die of his wounds days later. Of the 104 prisoners in B compound, 231 are dead. 108 are wounded. This is not a breakout. It is the largest mass suicide of the war. The Australian Guards, the odds and sods of the 22nd Garrison, are no longer babysitters. They are the survivors of a battle they cannot understand. They are shocked, They are confused, and they are traumatized. The compliant prisoners, the silent, enigmatic Japanese, have revealed the terrifying, unbridgeable gulf between their two worlds, written in the blood of 236 men.